Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so DeMar DeRozan has been waived by the Sacramento Kings as expected. He's a free agent, free to go wherever he wants. And I wonder who should be interested. He seems to be that one guy that people just continue to pass on, just say, we're good. And then wherever he goes, he kills it. He has these big games, these good seasons, and people just overlook him like, yeah, well, whatever. He is one of the best players in the world at having that attached to their name. Maybe one of the best players of all time with having that attached to their name. He's one of the greatest Raptors to ever play. But, of course, was traded for Kawhi Leonard and that deal that goes down in history when Kawhi was able to win a championship with Toronto. He ended up with the rebuilding Spurs and set a good portion of his prime in that situation, and of course ended up with Sacramento afterwards, or the Bulls rather. The rest of his prime was spent, wasting away in Chicago's situation, and then ended up in Sacramento. So he's just been on bad teams after bad teams after bad teams, never having a chance to really play for anything serious. And now he's a free agent. He can still attack from the mid-range as well as anybody. He's improved his three-point shot over the years. He's been around for a very long time, but I think on the offensive end could still do a great deal of damage. And at the very least, he's going to continue to be a mid-range specialist. I don't know where he would go, but I know if he gets there, he can contribute to the offense. I think the concern with DeRozan is that maybe he controls the ball a little too much. So if you have an offensive system, you put the ball in his hand, suddenly it's almost like he's a black hole in a way of mid-range greatness, just fadeaways all over the place. And you probably don't win, or you're worried that you don't win. So that's the thing. Does he affect winning is the question. Or is he not just a complementary piece of offense at this point? So I just don't know. His story is kind of sad to me because it's like he had this long tenure with Toronto where he did all this awesome stuff, but kept running into LeBron. LeBron kept just wiping the floor with his team every year. Finally gets traded overnight in some real wacky ways. Masai Ujiri lied to him or whatever happened, and he ends up wasting away on bad teams for the rest of his career. And you just never thought that he deserved that. Obviously, he got paid handsomely to do so. Don't get it twisted. He's made his wealth. But he never got a chance to really show that he could play winning and meaningful basketball. And when he did have opportunities, it didn't pan out. Toronto, again, LeBron. So now I look up and I say, okay, he has an opportunity to choose his spot, arguably for the first time in his career. Because since he left Toronto, he just kept finding himself with these long contracts. And he'd re-up with Chicago on this big old long contract, and then he'd be stuck on that contract. So you could argue he chose Chicago. He didn't have to re-sign there, but if I remember correctly, though, it's been many years, the market had kind of dried up, so there wasn't too many good options for him to go to. So he's a guy with a bad path in the NBA, in my opinion. Bad path. Sometimes you just get stuck on bad paths, man. You could be a fantastic player, but just always playing on bad teams, always in situations where another team is just better than yours, stuff like that, So I guess what I'm wondering is, as a Laker fan, is it time to finally bring him home? He's wanted to play for the Lakers the entire time. We keep fading him each and every time. Nah, you don't fit on this team. Nah, we don't want you here because we got somebody else in mind. Nah, we don't want to trade for you. Instead, we go with Westbrook. And we didn't win championship none of them years. None of them years we fade DeMar DeRozan. Did we win any damn thing? So just, wondering if the same dynamic is in place where you give him the ball and other people don't touch it, and you're worried about the development of Carr, you're worried about how he fits in on this roster. He's not quite the wing that you need because he's not a defensive perimeter defender, but he is a legitimate player to keep in rotation. He's probably going to want to start wherever he goes. I don't know if he has the leverage to demand a starting spot anymore, but in the Sacramento situation, it was never a situation where he didn't start because the rest of the team was not good enough to even do that with. But, I think of a team like Miami who needs more depth, who could use offense around. I don't know if they need mid-range offense. More so they need 3-point shooting, but they could definitely use another high-level talented guy on the floor. They could use depth. I think of a team like Denver, same thing. Just got through looking at the Denver depth chart. It is not good at all. I think about a team like Minnesota that can kind of fit a guy in with DiVincenzo now out for the season. They did pick up Evans, but who knows how quickly Evans is going to be ready to play. He'd probably be okay up there with Melo and them coming off the bench for Ant-Man or something like that. Philadelphia has a little bit too many guards at this point, but they're going to be playing for a championship opportunity, so I'm sure that would be a good spot for him to try to win. The Clippers have a lot of wings, though. That's the thing about the Clippers. When you look at their depth chart right now, they got nothing but wings up and down the roster. Even the guys they drafted in the second round are wings, so it becomes a situation where you just don't know if the playing time will be there for somebody, especially if DeMar's coming in eating some of that playing time. Probably not the greatest spot for a wing right now. And they may, after this, all of this we're talking about, go after Peyton Watson. So it's like, and still got to consider Ben Mathurin. So even though he's been rumored to go to the Clips in the past, I think with what the Clips now have, he doesn't fit there anymore. And you look at our Laker team, and it's like, we could use some more talent on this roster. Obviously, there's still more moves to make. We've got to see if we're going to, do something with Jaden Hardy and the 3 second-round picks, and what's going to happen with Vanderbilt's contract. Are we going to go forward with LaRavia? I'm hopeful we will not. I'm cool on LaRavia. I really, really am at this point. So it's like, when I look at our roster, I still see a lot of trash on the back of it, and I say, man, if I add DeMar DeRozan as my 9th or 10th guy, suddenly our team becomes significantly more capable. Suddenly my second unit, for which I would have him in, because I don't think I have him starting, but he's going to be somebody coming off my bench who I can count on to give me instant offense, somebody who can step up if Luka or Austin is out, somebody who's going to keep leads when Luka sits down, help us keep leads by being elite at the things that he's great at. He's mastered his craft long ago. He's a Hall of Famer, many-time All-Star. I just don't think you can do too much damage to your roster right now if you just pick him up on a vet minimum flyer, if you're the Lakers. He's always wanted to play for the Lakers his entire career. We always fade him. I think we now have a situation where if he would buy into coming off of our bench, we could utilize what he does more so at this roster than any roster we've ever had, arguably. And I just feel like once we start getting into our 8th, 9th, 10th man roster stuff, depending on what decisions the Lakers are able to make, I think you would have been happy to add a Hall of Fame veteran like DeMar DeRozan. You consider, I'm a guy that says no country for old men. But I also look at this roster and say it's serious about winning a championship and it has nobody over 30 on it. Maybe that's a good thing. But one veteran, I think could be a positive thing for the locker room. DeMar DeRozan, Compton dude, you know what I mean? He should play for the Lakers at some point in his career, in my opinion. This is probably the best time for him to do it. Dirt cheap contract. He ain't going to sign for nothing major, I don't think. I don't think he has the leverage to demand more than the vet minimum right now. And I think we could squeeze him in. And I think it would be a talent boost, just an overall talent boost, if the Lakers add him into our situation. So we don't have to have Jake LaRavia on the floor, so that you don't have to, go to Vando, and Coach ain't going to want to do it anyway. DeMar DeRozan is somebody Coach JJ, I think, will respect. I believe he will respect him. I believe he will play him. I think if anything, it takes pressure off of Cam Carr and gives somebody Cam Carr can learn behind at that wing spot. I think DeMar DeRozan could be an excellent tutor for Cam Carr and the young guys, Adu Thero. I think of DeMar DeRozan as a personality that those guys will probably take to, somebody they're going to respect, somebody that can help them navigate through L.A., just little stuff like that is important when you're considering, Luka is a young guy himself. Austin is the old elder statesman on the team. I just think that I think he would be a welcome addition to our situation, both on and off the court right now. He's always been, even though his history, his Compton, and everybody knows what his family, all that stuff, who he knows and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he's always been a consummate pro. a high-level class act professional in all situations that he's been a part of, and I would expect nothing less from him going forward in that regard. And I don't think, and here's another nugget, I don't think a return to Toronto is probably something he's going to do. And the reason why I don't think so is two things. One, that situation went sour. They lied to him, even though Masai was in Dallas now. They lied to him, told him they were keeping him, discarded of him, and won a championship. I don't think he wants to go back up north for a reunion or a retirement situation. I don't think so. I know Kyle Lowry's up there, Kawhi Leonard's up there. Does he really want to join the guy he was traded with for and all of that? I just don't think that's necessarily what he would want to do right now. LeBron is gone off our team. Maybe he didn't want to play with LeBron because bad memories from that too. LeBron's elsewhere. DeMar comes in without that dynamic. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but just something to think about. And then a situation with Drake off the court. You know what I mean? That situation went sour. Anybody that follows Drake know he and DeMar DeRozan are not cool anymore at all. And so that's a real thing. I don't think he goes back up to Toronto because the politics up there just would not be as friendly anymore. Now, maybe they can sit down. They know one another. Maybe they can sit down and have a conversation and squash all of that. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But judging how things went based on my little limited knowledge, I think that would be a very tough ask of both of those men at this point. So I don't think he's going back up to Toronto. So I just think the Los Angeles Lakers, you look at our roster, man, at the end of the day, if you just throw DeMar DeRozan into that rotation, you just feel a lot better about our overall talent floor. And that's what it really comes down to. Our overall talent floor. Because once we start getting into some injuries, depending on who goes down, let's say Quentin Grimes goes down and Austin Reeves goes down at the same time, now you're relying upon the young fella Cam Carr, whom I think is going to be fantastic, but I don't want to rely upon him. And then I'm looking at who? Colin Sexton to step up. Colin Sexton's had injury issues. Do I expect him to be healthy? I just look at our talent floor and I say, man, as much as our franchise loves to rest people, as much as we love to rest people, there are going to be games with what it is that we have right now. Well, we're going to rest the wrong people. We're just going to lose because we're just not going to have enough talent on the floor. I feel like if you bring in DeMar DeRozan, somebody who's already super athletic to begin with and who has also taken care of his body over the years, who has not had any major injuries over the years, I just feel like you feel a lot better about your overall ability to generate ridiculous amounts of points without everybody being available. And so that's my argument. Somebody that I know at the end of the day is going to attack from areas that the NBA as a league does not defend very well, that mid-range. He is a mid-range master. So that right there just gives us a different look. You just got to harness it properly. And so that's my take. I think that right now, I don't think it's very popular right now that people would bring in DeMar DeRozan. But I saw in the comment section on something posted, and it said it was a Kings fan telling us we should pick him up because he still can play. He can still play, guys. Pick him up is what I read in a comment section. And I just said, you know what, that's something that I want to consider with my voice to say, yeah, I mean, I've never really been on board with bringing in DeMar DeRozan in the past. I've been very vocal about that. I didn't think he fit in every situation. I didn't think he was best for the type of role that we needed him to have, where he would be a leader, because he had shown me in the past that he couldn't necessarily lead a team past LeBron necessarily. They were great regular seasons and then falter in the playoffs. But if you slot a guy in a proper role where he's not asked to lead, obviously this is Luke and Austin team and Kessler's team, you slot him in a situation as the 8th man, 9th man, 10th man, 11th man, then all of a sudden you bring him off the bench and he can go for 15 points on high efficiency, sit back down, rest his old legs, and then the rest of our guys do heavy lifting. He don't have to play a big role. He can just be down there with Colin Sexton and then just run around, you know what I'm saying, in the second units. And at the very least, he becomes a quality trade piece because people are still going to trade for the name DeMar DeRozan. The market still should be kind to him as somebody on a decent contract, in my opinion. So, yeah, vet minimum, I think you can do a lot worse with your vet minimum opportunity there. I think you could do a lot worse with the money that you spend. Obviously, we have other things we need to get done here. trying to bring in Kuminga is very important. I think he could be somebody who can also help tutor Kuminga. You know what I mean? And he was supposed to play with Kuminga anyway if the Sacramento Kings would have traded for him. So I think that would be a good guy to bring in to help with some of our young guys, man. I really do. So that's my DeMar DeRozan case. I don't know where he's going to end up. I don't know if he's going to retire maybe. For all I know, he just calls it a career. But I really know that he's always wanted to play for the Lakers, and there was never really a situation where we were up for it, giving him a big role and big part of the cap. Excuse me. But given the fact that we have him now as somebody who may be willing to take a vet minimum, yeah, I think he would be a interesting mid-range attack wing that could probably still help us in fast break situations, probably still help us in clutch situations, especially if Luka ain't gonna be out there for whatever reason. He could really help Austin Reeves offensively. He could really help a lot of our team offensively. You know, he has star level one game ability. You know, he may not be that 30 point per game scorer every night, but he's still somebody who can give you 20 points off the bench, 25 points off the bench, and that one night, he gonna have 30 points. You know what I mean? You're gonna win the game by a lot. So that's what I want to say. I just think, you know, I look at my roster, I just see too much trash, y'all. If I'm being honest with you, and I know we're probably still working on it, but I look at Jake LaRavia, and I look at Vanderbilt. You know, obviously young Bronny's still developing. Thero looks unplayable. I just see a talent disadvantage if we have any injuries, and it just makes me feel a lot safer if I have a guy like DeMar DeRozan on my bench. I feel that way right now, especially if he's making dirt cheap money. So much more of a floor that can remain competitive, man. And that's really my case. So that's pretty much what I gotta say. My name is BDO44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.